of those of us who have been saddled with managing public relations for the clubs in this district. So I have taken the liberty to amend my own session slightly by saying maximizing public relations for a good cause. Rotary, maximizing public relations for a good cause. Good cause is always about something that's meant to help other people. From the perspective of Rotary, it involves, and I'm sure those of us who are seated in this room will know that it involves, effort that build international relationships, improves lives, create better world to support peace efforts. It involves encouraging conversations. Take note of that. Encouraging conversations. Even when you look at our society today, you will realize that there's never been a time that we should encourage conversations than even now. It involves Rotary's commitment to train adults, young leaders to prevent and mediate conflict, helping refugees or internally displaced persons, as we call them in this time. It involves fighting diseases. It involves supporting local solutions to bring clean water, sanitation, hygiene to more people every day. It involves saving mother and children in a world where nearly 6 million children under the age of 5 die, each year because of malnutrition. And when you go around and you see our waste bins, you still see people disposing of food. At parties, everywhere you go, you still see waste. So poor healthcare, inadequate sanitation, and the rest of it. We know all of this. So good cause for Rotary, therefore, involves growing local economy by way of projects, which some of your clubs are already doing, to enhance economic and community development, creating opportunities for young and old. I will tell you why I'm describing all of these things, the things that Rotary has within its purview as a constituent of good cause. Now, when you look at all of this, when you look at from tackling the issue of environmental challenges to the issue of hygiene, poor sanitation, to even the economy, now you will realize one thing, that there are public relations imperatives flowing from all of this. So let's begin with what public relations is in the first place. And the district governor used the word plan, and I love it. And that struck a note when he said to develop plans. So public relations is the deliberate, planned, and sustained effort to establish and maintain mutual understanding between an organization, for example, Rotary, and its publics. Take note of the word publics. So when you look at the stakeholder universe that the Rotary good cause has thrown before us, you will realize that we're talking about women, we're talking about new moms, we're talking about young entrepreneurs, we're talking about corporate, we're talking about even international humanitarian bodies who are interested in partnerships in a country like ours. So that definition was given by the British Public Relations Institute. So the question it throws up for us this afternoon is, are your plans for communication, are they deliberate? Are they deliberately planned? Are they even planned at all? Are the efforts to establish mutual understanding between Rotary and its publics, are they sustained? Are they maintained? Or just some knee-jerk and seasonal activities? We do it today, and then until there is another activity or program coming up, that is when we then remember that we are responsible for building the public image of Rotary. So what is Rotary's understanding of its public? Do you guys believe that there is a general public or diverse publics? The notion of a general public itself is a nonsensical. It does not exist. So Rotary must never make the mistake that government in this part of the world often make. You realize, I mean, ever since I was a child, I've been hearing that expression on TV, on NTA. The federal government hereby notifies the general public. It's nothing like a general public. And those of us who are saddled with this responsibility for managing public relations for our respective clubs must know that our publics are as diverse as they can ever be. You are talking about women. You are talking about young entrepreneurs. They do not constitute a general public. They are respective publics on their own. And so, for every program that you are planning, you must take a deep dive to ask yourself, who are the beneficiaries rather of this particular program? Who should we be communicating with? So, the diversity of Rotary's good cause itself has thrown up diverse publics for Rotary to engage. So in every community that you are implementing one activity or the other, that you are planning one program or the other, take note of the fact that the publics you are dealing with are as diverse as they can be. So ask yourself, who are these people that are supposed to ensure are aware of this particular activity? They do not constitute a general body. They are publics on their own. And until we, all of us, for our respective clubs, until we approach public relations like this, I think we will be far away from the goal of this seminar. If this is all you take away from my speech this afternoon, I think then something dramatic would have changed. So the implication of this is that Rotary must understand that we're dealing with multiple publics, with diverse demographics, diverse psychographics. What do I mean by that? Let me give an example. So let's assume we're planning an activity that has to do with ensuring that government is even aware of what we're doing. So therefore, you have within your purview government decision makers. You need to drill down and ask yourself, who are these people, male and female, permanent secretaries, ministers, commissioners? Where do they belong to? The A and B and C socioeconomic class of the society. And then you then ask yourself, what is their media consumption pattern? Because that is what should determine how you plan your communication activity. Let me give an example. The class of people I've just described, like Mr. Louis Onion here, their TV sets are permanently on CNN, Arise News, TVC, channels, OGTV, LTV8, Traffic Radio, This Day, Business Day, Guardian, Punch, and then of course, they consume information from the social media. Abuse the federal government today, that's when you will know that there are some people at the presidency managing the social media for its government. They will see it. So the same way, if your club is planning a program and you want those in government to be aware of it, where should you go? Some of these media spaces are mentioned. Let's take again. You are planning something that is targeted at corporates. Who are they? Male and female business executives, corporate decision makers. Where do they belong to in the society? The A, B, and C socioeconomic ladders, classes rather. What's their media consumption pattern? CNN, Arise News, channels, Traffic Radio, Classic FM, Nigeria Info. And then when you go to Ogun State, Fresh 107.9 FM, Paramount 94.5 FM, Rock City FM, Rainbow 94.1 FM, Kenny's 104.1 FM. Women, it will amaze you that a lot of women decision makers in the corporate world now listen to WFM. And then of course, when it comes to the print, Business Day, The Guardian, Punch, interestingly in the social media. Let's talk about community leaders. If you are planning activities for your club, you need to pay attention to this. These are the guys in the C, D, and E socioeconomic classes of the society. What's their media consumption pattern? Don't joke with these guys. They don't play with Galaxy TV because that's where they watch, different Yoruba movies and the rest. So if you put your news there about your activity, you are putting your news directly where they will see it. MITV, LTV8, OGTV, Bond FM, Radio Lagos. And then let me surprise you. The rumor mills. Baba Ijebu, betting starts. I'm telling you, for those of us who also do political communication, we realize that when you want to pass any message across, just get about 20 people and tell them to go around the Baba Ijebu stands. But in 48 hours, that news will have spread around. That news will have spread around. So if you want community leaders to be aware, community activists to be aware of what you are doing, don't discountenance this medium. It has become a powerful medium of its own. And then women are mostly new moms who need to be aware of what you are doing. They are in the C, D, and E socioeconomic classes. These are the guys who watch, these are the women who watch NTA, Abeokuta, OGTV, Galaxy Television, MITV, LTV8, and the rest. Now, what is the implication of what I have just said? The implication of all of this is that I'm being told that my time is up. When you are planning an activity, you are not dealing with the general public. You are dealing with public, and you need to drill down and ask yourself, who are these people who need to be aware of what my club is doing? How do they consume the media? What is their media consumption pattern? Put the information about this. Oh, I forgot to mention WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a very able platform for reaching people. No, they don't call it WhatsApp. The grassroots people call it WhatsApp. They say, I saw it on WhatsApp that Rotary is coming to our community for a free eye test. You'll be shocked the kind of turnout we are going to have. So this is the discipline of public relations. This is how all of us must be. This is how detailed we must be when we are planning public relations activities for our respective teams. So thank you very much. Okay, I've been given 2 minutes more. So essentially, it's just for us to understand our universe. It's for us to understand our publics, that our publics have become very diverse. And I believe that once we leave this place today with this mindset, that you will not achieve what you aim to achieve by just issuing, some press releases, just to be able to reach these people, but you come up with a more robust plan. And my challenge to all of us who are responsible for public image, for Rotary today is, where is your public relations plan? Where is your public relations plan? Is it documented, or are you carrying it about in your heads? Let it be documented. Let your public relations plan be documented. That is what corporate organizations do. And that is what those of us who are in the business of public relations do. Everything must be documented so that you can take learnings and see what you have done right and ask yourself, are flyers working for us? If flyers are not working for us, what is working for us? And then you can strengthen your hold on what is working for you. Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I think it deserves a WhatsApp. Okay, what we'll do is we'll note the questions. I'm sure you probably have questions for him. But at the end of the presentation for all the speakers, then we'll have the question. We'll also like to appreciate those of us who have joined us virtually. Thank you so much for joining us virtually. Can we please appreciate them, please? We have a lot of people who joined us virtually. Okay, from the presentation of Mr. Israel Jaye of IMA, we'll be going to that of yet another guest speaker, but in-house. Ladies and gentlemen, please can we give a round of applause to past Assistant Governor John Senaya, Assistant Rotary Public Unit Coordinator, Zone 22, Region 27. There is this profile, of course, you'll expect an intimidating profile, but what I'm trying to do is to do an abridged profile. That's what I'm going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, John Senaya is a veteran broadcaster, advertising guru, corporate communications guru, event planner, television presenter, and toastmaster. He started his career in broadcasting in 1979 with the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, and proceeded to the United Kingdom to study communications, advertising, and marketing in 1981, a career which he still practices today. Today, John Senaya has broadened his horizon as an executive speech and selling skills coach, public speaker, toastmaster, and marketing communications strategist consultant. He has been engaged several times by clients such as Rotary District 9110 Nigeria and Rotary clubs within the district, the Rotary International Institute, the Rotary Foundation Dinner and Dance, and a host of others. He currently presents a Saturday morning Plus TV Africa breakfast program today with John and Helen, broadcast on DSTV 408. John Senaya is a Rotarian past president, Rotary Club of Ikoyi. He past Assistant Governor, Rotary International District 910, and is currently an assistant Rotary Public Unit Coordinator, English-speaking Africa. He is married with a lovely daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please give a round of applause to PhD John Senaya.
Our change maker district governor, Remy Bello FCA, one of our speaker, president of the Public Relations Consultants Association of Nigeria, PRK, my president, Israel Jaye of IMA, is leaving us now. You heard him say he had malaria. But before he goes, we want to respectfully invite our district governor to make an appreciation presentation to him. Please, let's put our hands together for our DG Ajayi. You know, you have to take that picture as a chairman. That picture is going on social media. It's very important.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy that this one is happening. As you whispered to me that you are leaving, I was just wondering as you walk out, you just come in just this one without you being appreciated. And it's part of the chairman of the committee. This is certificate of appreciation for Rotary International District 910. Serve to change lives. You may not know what that stands for. That's our theme for 2021-2022. Certificate of appreciation probably presented to Mr. Israel Jaye, FNIPR, for your intellectually stimulating presentation. The guest speaker at Rotary District 910 Public Image Seminar 2021. We cherish what you have done and hope that we will oblige us again next time as we serve and change lives. Signed by the district governor and the organizing chair of this event, past president Michael Effiong James. We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Last year, so here,
All right, so now we can start. It's a good thing I told the truth in my profile because I have here with me, and I want to respect him, my senior colleague. When I started out with Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, my senior colleague and very good friend, Shay Martins. It's your day today. Thank you so much. And I'd also want to appreciate the speaker before me for breaking the ice. Because at an event like this, when you have such many in front of you, you would definitely be intimidated. And I refuse to be intimidated. Because you're all ambassadors. I don't see you as, I see you more like Rotary's ambassadors rather than PI chairs, public relations representatives. Because the task that you carry every day, from the moment you become a member of Rotary, when you become a Rotarian, however you do it, after your office as public image chairs, still have that duty as Rotarians to tell the Rotary story. Well, today it's going to be another 100-meter dash. Because when I got to slide 50, I had to tell myself, look, John, take it easy. It's just only a seminar. So I have loads and loads of slides because of the way I feel. You know, there's this need, there's this very strong need for Rotarians to always tell their stories, to represent like I said. I think it was Paul Harris who in 1905 said that we will be known by the things we do. And that's a very deep statement. Rotarians will be known by the things we do. And he said that in 1905. And see what's happening today. You cannot light a candle and put it under the table. Nobody will see it. At the same time, I've tried it. You cannot wink at a pretty lady in the dark and expect her to come home with you because she will not see you. So it's important for us to understand what the district governor told us at his installation the other day. He said to us, seeing is believing. And that's what we're going to practice from this Rotary year onwards. For the sake of photography, I think I'll take this off temporarily. So today we're talking about the Rotary logo and branding guide. And this is very important. We've had several definitions of that. I'll just simply read. It's the, ideas and opinions of the public or the person or an organization that may or may not be what they really are. So it's a perception. Perceptions. And perceptions are built on what you show people, what side of you show people. Remember the story of the elephant and the blind? You touch the tail and you think it's this, you touch the ears and you think it's that. So it is what we present to people that they will see and they will believe about us.
Now, we've noticed that, and this came out in a recent research, that since 2011, we've made great strides building global awareness. And that's an improvement. We've made great strides. We found out that in terms of global awareness, 3 out of 4 people have heard of Rotary. They've heard of Rotary, 3 out of 4, which means that yes, they have heard of Rotary. So what? However, the understanding of Rotary is very low. So you'll find that people will tell you to your face that you are this, you are that, and you wonder if they were talking about the same Rotary. So yes, they've heard about Rotary, but no, they don't understand Rotary enough. Now let's look inwards to our own members, our members' perceptions of Rotary. When we did the research, we found that words like fellowship, service, network, friendship, service, integrity, connections came up, right? Which means that yes, people associated us with service, with fellowship, friendship, but do they really understand what these mean to us as Rotarians? Let's also look at the public's perceptions of Rotary. Yes, the words like elite, men, old, humanitarian, volunteer, club, lunch, business, service also popped up. So these are the things that people easily recall about us. Note that in all of this, no one talked about value, how, impacted lives, how we've changed, opinions and all of that. So it's very important that we tell and promote Rotary. We need to promote Rotary public image and the brand. Very important. Now, I think it was the DG who told us earlier that Rotary's priorities and objectives, are all anchored on these 4 points. 1, increasing our impact. 2, expanding our reach. 3, enhancing participants' engagement. And 4, increasing our ability to adapt. So these are the things that we aim for in our strategic priorities as Rotarians. We've also found that if we're able to build up on awareness, we'll be able to help understanding of Rotary. The more you talk about Rotary and the things we do, the better people will understand us. And of course, the more interest we'll be able to generate, which is very important. And we'll be able to, from there, engage more people and also help with advocacy, favors, Rotarians, ideals. Okay, I'll go back to that. Now there's a new order that just came up, DEI. Anybody heard about DEI? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's what's happening now in our world, Rotary world. Diversity, bringing in people from diverse backgrounds, women, men, name it. Physically challenged, yeah, all manner of people, right? So the diversity net is now wider, and we're also talking about equity, giving each person an opportunity, to have something to do, to contribute to the Rotary goal. And then inclusion. They say that inclusion is like going to a party, right? And being asked for a dance. Okay, so that is inclusion. So that is what we're going to be working around as Rotarians, the DEI factor. There are some consistent and unified messages that we must try to put across as Rotarians. That Rotarians are people of action, driven by a desire to create opportunities, strengthen communities, and find solutions to the tough challenges that affect people around the world. Number two, Rotary is a community of 1.2 million men and women from all continents, cultures, professions, and experiences who connect through our local clubs. I'll share this slide with you, so don't be in a hurry to take notes now, okay? Just listen. That Rotary clubs tackle projects of every scale and inspire fellow Rotarians, friends, neighbors, and partners to share their vision, exchange ideas for lasting solutions, and take action to bring those ideas to life. I hope you've noted all of this. I'm going to take questions at the end of this, okay? So you can just note down your questions. Let's look at the power of consistent branding. If you brand consistent and correctly, these are the things you're likely to achieve. More people will know and understand who we are. We will be able to expand the reach, our reach for prospective members. We will enhance member participation and engagement. We will increase our impact. We will increase sponsorships, and we will also increase fundraising. And that speaks to the Rotary Foundation. I don't know if it was clear enough earlier on that Rotary strategy stands on 3 legs: foundation, membership, and now public image. And the good news is this: for public image, very soon on Rotary Club Central, we're going to have a section that allows public image to be handled the way foundation and membership are handled. We'll be able to measure it, right? We'll be able to make contributions, because public image, without public image, the 2 legs can't stand on their own. And RI has realized that, and they promised us that that is going to happen very soon. So again, we stress that we need to promote Rotary as a brand. Now let's do a little reflection on our brand. With our branding, we must realize that the brand is more than a logo. A brand is more than a logo. A logo is just a symbol. The brand is the whole entity, right? Rotary's brand is much bigger than its real. It's a perception. It's how others think about us, not just how we see ourselves. We also have to know that the Rotary brand includes our basic qualities and goals that unite all Rotary clubs and districts. The object of Rotary and all of that, we recite it all of the time. But please, let's internalize, let's understand it a little better. It is what we offer people who partner with us, join a club, or participate in our programs and projects. Our brand reflects our identity, our vision, our essence, as well as our values. It represents our unique culture and our approach to creating lasting positive change. People's perception of Rotary comes from their experiences with our clubs and our programs, along with the stories we tell. The stories we tell, very important. Tell the Rotary story. How we tell it, very important. And the images we share. Compelling, consistent brand communications together with a great experience can strengthen our brand and help us engage and attract more members, donors, and partners. Is this going to be possible? Consistent branding confirms. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. I know. Okay, let's settle this. Let's settle this. This is a PI seminar. Now let me ask the audience: for how much longer will you Johnson continue? Will you give me 10 minutes? 10 minutes there? 5 minutes? Okay, so I'll take 5 minutes. Okay? Instead of 7 minutes. Okay, so let's look at consistent branding. It confirms awareness, familiarity, constant visibility, message and logo confidence, trust and comfort, involvement in projects, membership. I'll just race through because we're now looking at branding guidelines. Of course, you all know the transition of the logo, where it started from and where we are today. On the left is where we were So I don't want to see any of that on the left anymore. We've transited from there to the right-hand side, okay? Now, the rotary wheel, this is your mark of excellence. This is called the mark of excellence. It's our official wheel, and it cannot be used on its own. Please, it must not be used on its own. It has to be used with the master brand signature. This is the master brand signature. So when you have that mark of excellence, you must, on the same page, have your master brand signature. This is a simplified version of logo. You see that some of the details are not in there, but you can use them for other types of branding, like merchandising and all of that. Then it's presented in several ways, but the important thing is that the logo itself, the wheel, should be see-through. You should see through the cloths, right? So sometimes we see a solid white or solid color behind the wheel. No, you have to be able to see the color on the background or in the background through the wheels. Very important. So now, this is what I talked about earlier. You don't see the mark of excellence on its own. You see the image on the left, top left, that's the way it should be. You must always have that, mark of excellence and the, so these are signature systems as we have them. If you go on to your brand center on rotary.org, you will find this, and you will find that you can even create your logo by yourself in just 5 minutes if you know how to. So we've seen several ways of combining master brand signature with our club logos. No, that's not allowed. We are not allowed to embed all of this in your brand, in your club logo. So create your club logo, fine, but outside it, away from it, is where you can place the Rotary logo. So that's it. Example, since you're going away with the package, there are times when we even have multiple clubs and districts coming together. You'll be able to study and look at all of that. Now, this is very important. The signature lockup. The signature lockup, if you look at the image at the top, you find 2 holes there. Yeah? The 2 holes there is to mark the distance. That hole, those 2 holes are the same size as the hole in your rotary. Okay, so that dividing line, the space between the wheel and the line should be the same as the size of the hole on both sides before you now have the other logo locked off. Okay, so I hope you understand. Then, of course, there are different ways of doing our club banners and other materials. Of course, our resources, most of it you will find the brand center. I wish and I pray and I urge all of you to go to the brand center, study it, very easy to follow, and you'll be able to create a lot of things, okay, at the brand center. There are so many things we've seen. Look at the one on the left and the one on the right. The one on the left is so easy, you can't even make out what's happening. So we have to be careful how we tell our story. Just like this is a lady with a gun. No, this won't happen. This shouldn't happen. So we have our resources, and that takes us to what the DG said at the beginning. Seeing is believing. I want to thank all of you for your time. If you have liked this presentation in any way, please ask for a copy and you will get it. Thank you so much. So I'll take questions after. Thank you.
Can we give yet another round of applause to David? Well, it was a DG who said that he actually described Rotary as a school and as a college. And without doubt, I'm sure we all do agree that yes, it's a school and it's a college. Because we're not only sharing knowledge, but also imparting knowledge to ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be inviting the 3rd speaker today Mr. Louis Odion, FNGE, Senior Technical Assistant on Media to the President, OVP. Office of the Vice President. Oh, yes. Yes, can we give a round of applause? Thank you. Citation. Louis Osaitin Odion, a fellow of the Nigerian Guild of Editors and currently Senior Technical Assistant on Media to President, Office of the Vice President, was born on March 25, 1973. Is an indigenous of Ovia, Northeast in Edo State. He holds a National Diploma Federal Polytechnic at Duikiti, BA University of Lagos, and Masters in International Law and Diplomacy, University of Lagos, and 2 courses at Notre Dame University, Beirut, Lebanon. Odion is a syndicated columnist who contributes to such media organizations as Premium Times, The Nation, The Cable, The Interview, and others. The prolific writer also contributed to Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka's book entitled Green Cards, Green Gold. He has an impressive and rich experience in print media, occupying positions such as managing editor, editor-in-chief, National Life, editor Sunday Sun, deputy editor This Day, and deputy editor Sunday Concord. In public service, he has served as Commissioner of Information and Orientation in Edo State from 2011 to 2015, and has been a Lagos Ambassador for Environment from 2009 to date. His professional honors include winner Alade Odunewu Prize for Columnist of the Year 2007, winner Alade Odunewu Prize for Columnist of the Year NNMA 2009, City People Media Person of the Year 2007, Fellow Nigerian Guild of Editors 2014, Merit Award Press Club Police College Akure, Ondo State 2013. Odion, a Christian, is married. He loves reading, writing, and traveling, and is a member of the Nigerian Union of Journalists and Nigerian Guild of Editors. Ladies and gentlemen, please, yet again, let's appreciate Louis Osaitin Odion, FNG.
Thanks, MC. The DG now, please permit me to stand on the protocols that you set. But before I proceed, I bring one greeting for Prince Julius Adeli in the fourth land president of the International. He said, I'm very nice for a big daddy and I report. I'm quite excited to be in the company that have the most iconic Rotary benefits in the country today. And do consider myself really honored to be in the company of members of an esteemed Institute of Rotary International, who have distinguished themselves through their dedication to promoting the growth of our communities and country. Indeed, today, I think there is a consensus that life is moving at a rather easy pace, so that most of us now appear to be gasping for breath. The reason we therefore must not fail in our bold duty to show deep appreciation to selfless folks like those of you gathered here in South Africa, who through individual sacrifices continue to relieve the weak, support the vulnerable, and share the weary. Kudos for helping to keep alive in your own little way in 124 clubs spread across Lagos and the state in torture of compassion and solidarity. Your illustrious founding father, Paul Harry, lived more than a century ago in Fairview, Chicago. But first, let me thank the Public Image Committee in particular for this invitation to speak on a topic I consider very relevant today. I must, however, confess that when the committee chairman first mentioned the idea of giving a talk via phone call, I was alarmed. Give it to him,
My good friend, Mike Efiam, is a seasoned journalist, but Mike has a unique sense of humor that sometimes borders on mystery, if not subversion. Coming a day after someone was reportedly intercepted outside the country and flew to Abuja to resume a trial for which he had absconded 4 years ago, I was immediately tempted to wonder whether the invitation was not an ambush to come and explain in detail how that historic interception. Still, another possibility crossed my mind, bearing in mind that Mike comes from that part of the country that we all know is endowed with rainforests. And of course, they are now willing to allow others in their own community. I thought maybe he wanted me to provide they want open grazing. In specific terms, somebody told me that they just might be seeking an advice on behalf of some prospective local investors on how to set up and manage a cattle ranch profitably in the post-COVID pandemic economy, perhaps with a pilot scheme and the famous of ranch. However, to my great relief on arrival, the letter ended all my anxiety. It turned out to be an invitation from no other than Rotary International to speak on a terrain I'm more familiar with, the media after all. Well, jokes aside, I must thank the committee additionally for indulging me with the liberty to modify the topic if I felt that would free me of any more anxiety or handicap. In the invitation received, the fee proposed by the committee was, quote, maximizing the media for Rotary growth, end of quote. But for our purpose this afternoon, may I crave your indulgence to slightly modify it to now read, quote, Rotary in the age of social media. We are praising the tools of engagement and communication strategy, end of quote. As can be seen, this, in my opinion, offers more elbow room to speak more vigorously to the specific need in a manner that also seeks to mobilize the general public to a new civic responsibility. I shall return to this much later. But before then, ladies and gentlemen, it is perhaps necessary at this junction to clarify the concept of social media, the operant term in the reverse topic. Simply put, social media refers to the online community that evolved and is sustained by the rapid growth in information and communication technology. The key word is networking without limit, complete with real-time online interaction. It provides an ecosystem for the variety of tools commonly used in Nigeria today, like Google, YouTube, email, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and well, let us add Twitter, since a conversation is now ongoing between them and Nigeria with a view to reversing the ban imposed by the government on June 5th. Together, this interpersonal communication tool form an integral part of a broad spectrum called the new media. As pervasive as it is today, with estimated 3.2 billion users worldwide, ladies and gentlemen, the big irony is that the phenomenon of social media had a small beginning in the 19th century. Records tell us that the journey began precisely on May 24, 1844, with a pioneering electronic message in form of electronic dots and dashes tapped out by hand on the telegraph machine from Baltimore to Washington, D.C. by Samuel Morse, and the inaugural message, which bore a rather beautiful ring, read, quote, what had God brought? In those clearly exultant words, it is easy to imagine today that Morse was filled with great hope for the future that moment. But if only the poor man had a premonition that the path he just charted ever stood in chance of suffering the encroachment of fake news, perhaps the illustrious father of social media, who in good faith had famously asked, what had God brought, we simply have added this cautionary caveat. Certainly not the case. Of course, the turning point for social media came with the evolution of the internet in the early 60s. First, as a vehicle for government researchers in the United States to share classified information. Two factors are said to have hastened the emergence of internet. First was the quest for convenience because computers of that age were large and immobile. So to retrieve data or information, you had to either travel to the site of the computer or have magnetic computer tape sent through the conventional postal system. The second reason was an obsession for confidentiality in the time of Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. The launch of Sputnik satellite by the Soviets is believed to have spurred the US defense department to consider ways information could be disseminated in the event of a nuclear attack. This eventually led to information in 1969 of ARPANET, that is Advanced Research Project Agency Network. This early digital network, created by the United States Department of Defense, allows scientists at 4 interconnected universities to share software, hardware, and other data. It ultimately evolved into what we now call the internet. With the birth of internet in 1983, it simply became possible for various computer networks to communicate with each other. All networks would now be connected to universal language. In the following decade, email took off as the largest network application, eventuating in the every interpersonal traffic we see today on the World Wide Web. To an extent, it is correct to say that the invention of Apple's smartphone in 2007 by Steve Jobs further helped to revolutionize social media by shifting the focus from the cumbersomeness of desktop and laptop computer to the visibility of Facebook, YouTube, Google, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and other social media services. Ladies and gentlemen, I've spent the last couple of minutes tracing the origin of social media as a concept. Let us now proceed to distinguish the popular one according to the unique utility they provide individually. But before then, perhaps it is apposite at this point to briefly outline the size of Nigeria's digital community, so that we are in a better position to appreciate its presence and power, as well as recognize the emerging tribe of techpreneurs known as social media influencers. According to statistics from the Nigerian Communication Commission, as of May this year, there were close to 190 million active phone lines in Nigeria, with monitors indicating no more than 100 million internet users in January 2021. Out of over 200 million population, a survey conducted by an independent African-based research organization named Afrobarometer in 2020 revealed that 35% of Nigerians reported using some social media service to get news at least a few times a week. 2, men were generally marginally more likely to use it than women, in the ratio of 39% to 31%. 3, more young people, especially the millennials, use social media in the ratio of 46% as against 8% for those over 65. 4, rates of weekly assets were higher for urban dwellers in the ratio of 54% as against 18% of their compatriots living in the rural areas. 5, there is clearly an educational barrier in the sense that there is higher number of users with at least a secondary school level education in the ratio of 7% as against 12% of those with primary education or less. On the other hand, the social media influencers are online personalities with significant following cultivated over a period of time. who are now increasingly engaged by corporate entity or individual to leverage such strength to achieve certain objectives. They are mobilized to endorse either a product or service with their army of followers, expected to take a cue from them. In some cases, the influencers are engaged by some interest to set agenda or shape opinion in the public court, exploiting the reach of their social media platform. Well, no one should blame or begrudge the social media influencer for seeking to profiteer. I'm told I have my bag of it. But I believe, well, in the interest of charity that I don't have I don't think it's here to bring it from Abuja. It's not great for all side. Okay, I will try and speed up. Let me just. Okay, well, no one should begrudge the social media influencers or by forsaking to profiteer. They are merely following in the footsteps of owners of the platform. Take Facebook, for instance. Once it had built a significant user base, it began to accept ads on the platform as early as 2006. Charity. But I noticed that sometimes when you, for instance, announce that pipe of water is delivered to a needy community, other than the photo splash in the newspaper, little effort is made to immediately situate how that will potentially cut down the number of mortality arising from waterborne diseases. It will be more rewarding to connect the dot ab initio. As a matter of fact, a media organization might choose to report your story from the angle of the expected benefit. 4. Timing. For messages meant for the media, whether the print or the electronic, it is important to familiarize yourself with the concept of deadlines. When your report or release reaches the editor on time, you are guaranteed quick publication. As for posts on your social media account, it is also important to get yourself acquainted with various apps that tell you when users Number 5, I consider it very, very important. That is advocacy. Let us hear or feel more of the abundant moral force of Rotary International being deployed in championing the cause of tolerance and peace. I'm aware that one of the core Rotary principles expressly forbid you from making statements that might sound overly partisan or political. But I have not seen any clause that forbids you from raising your voice against violence or criminality, or anywhere you were joined to stay neutral in the hour of moral crisis. For that matter, when innocent school kids get kidnapped, or a promising teenager gets killed by stray bullet from law enforcement personnel, Rotary must not keep a convenient silence. Rotary must speak up. Ladies and gentlemen, before bringing this lecture to a close, our task will of course be incomplete without addressing what is now commonly regarded as the peril of social media. While we must acknowledge that rapid breakthrough in information technology is dismantling walls and bridging distance in a manner hitherto unknown to mankind, we must also admit that the spontaneity of modern communication tools made them quite susceptible to misuse and abuse. Of course, this has led to the proliferation of fake news, with widespread concern that misinformation on social media is undermining society and democratic institutions. Let me illustrate the gravity of this growing trend with a real-life story. Sometime in 2019, my boss and the vice president of the country, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, received an angry call from a close relation who wondered why he had to take a decision as weighty as resigning from the Buhari administration without bothering to at least consult, if not confide in some family members. For a brief moment, the vice president found himself in an awkward situation, whether to get angry or laugh at some ludicrous report. Of course, he vigorously denied the story, if only to reassure that relation that they could at least continue to draw pride in being seen as related to a serving vice president and not a retired one. Then, out of curiosity, the vice president asked the relation where he got the alarming news from. In response, the relation attributed it with all authority to a WhatsApp alert on their smartphone. He thought WhatsApp alert is Holy Grail, Bible. Well, that is the extent social media could be deployed for mischief or to do damage, so that our Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka, once asked us to raise the alarm that the next world war may be caused by fake news originating from Nigeria. However, I must stress that the problem of fake news is not peculiar to Nigeria, as it is a global challenge. In the United States, for instance, it has also become a major issue, particularly in the political sector. We are told that ahead of the 2020 presidential election won by the Democrats, falsified information from a fake political news site generated 1.8 billion hits on Facebook alone. This represented a staggering over 200% increase from the 500 million engagement recorded just before the 2016 election. Of course, this ugly development is causing significant erosion of faith in the pieces of information in the public space. According to the global survey conducted in 2020, only 35% of people said they trusted social media, down from 40% in the in 2019, representing a steady decline of trust. Good enough, we now have various fact-checking resources online that will help mitigate the impact and spread of fake news. But as an additional safety measure, it is my humble opinion that there is a lot more the larger society could imbibe from the old value enshrined in Rotary Punch and Clean four-way test, adopted in 1943 to guide members in thought or before making any speech or embarking on the course of action. Great Rotarian present this afternoon, it is part of your tradition to solemnly ask this question. 1, is it the truth? 2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better relationship? 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Therefore, in the online community we individually belong to, I think it's important that we begin to bring the Rotary value to bear. As a first symbolic right in class action against the pandemic of fake news. So before you set your finger to type, be sure it is the truth. In the long run, building a better society consists partly of the ability to resist the temptation to forward or pass on that text with a message that is unverified. Ladies and gentlemen, this, in my view, is the least contribution we can individually make to the Rotary idea and make the world a better place. Thanks for listening. Let me see somebody to especially recognize my who traveled all the way to attend this function because I took that. His name is Andrew Jeffries.
Well, when you have a guest speaker who came all the way from Abuja, you will have to indulge him in some things, especially one who works in the office of the Vice President. But seriously, please, ladies and gentlemen, let us appreciate Louis Elvin. Thank you. And we'll be having the last but not the least speaker is one of us, Rotarian Jide Ogunleye. Is actually a digital tech strategist. We'll be reading his citation while he comes here. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let us appreciate Rotarian Jide Ogunleye. Jide Ogunleye holds a BSc in Computer Science from Lagos State University. He started his professional career with More Advice Group and has since worked with Tabia Technologies, one of Nigeria's leading technology companies, and Aqua Online, South Africa's leading digital agency. While in Tabia Technologies, Jide served as a team lead for MTN managed services and portals and web development before moving on to Aqua Online as technology lead. Jide is keen on deepening his professional competence along with creating a successful international technology brand. He's been trained at the world's leading business schools, including Lagos Business School, Harvard Business School, Chartered Institute of Marketing, CIM UK, where he obtained a diploma in digital marketing at New Horizon, where he also obtained a certificate on cyber security, first responder. As a Christian, Ogunleye believes in giving as a ministry. Beyond the church, is active in a number of projects and platforms that allow him to fulfill this passion for giving back. Jide is a proud member of the Rotary Club of Omole Golden, where he has served as a club secretary, vice president, and currently serves as the chairman for membership. Can we give him a round of applause for that? Jide loves traveling, swimming, and inspiring people. Is married to the girl of his dreams, Mayokun, and they are blessed with 2 beautiful children, Jaron and Sharon. Ladies and gentlemen, please, yet again, a round of applause for our last but not the least guest speaker, Rotarian Jide Ogunleye, a digital tech strategist. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. The DG in absentia, PDGs and district leaders, past presidents, chain maker presidents, fellow Rotarians, our guests online, and friends. So the other speakers have done justice to the topic, but I'll just be touching on the social media aspect of it. Slide presenter, I'll need you to work very closely with me because many of the things that we're talking about, I need to illustrate on the screen. So the theme for today is maximizing the media for Rotary's growth, but I'll be emphasizing the need for the social media channels and how we can help us enhance the brand Rotary. While I'm doing my presentation and the course of my presentation, I'll speak a lot about brand, but when I say brand, I'm actually speaking to Rotary as a brand. Let's go into the next slide. Now, what is social media? There's so many definitions of social media, and the last speaker gave the right definition to what it is. But sometimes and many times, it's a bit technical. It's important to note that social media is simply a subset of digital marketing. So you have digital marketing as a whole, and digital marketing as a whole is broken into three major components. The first component being the paid media, the second component being the earned media, and the third component being the owned media. Like the name implies, the paid media simply means any digital media that you have to put money behind to promote. That's what the paid media is. The owned media, on the other hand, is any digital media assets that you own and you have control over. For example, your website is a form of owned media. Your social media pages are forms of owned media. And when you talk of earned media, a typical example is you put a post on your Instagram page, you get 1,000 comments, and you get 50,000 shares. The comments are earned, the shares are earned. Okay, so that's what you call the paid media, the owned media, and the earned media. The social media in itself is majorly earned media because most of what you do on social media is earned media. Now, in simple terms, social media are basically interactive platforms where content can be created, distributed, and shared by people all over the internet. The critical part of social media is creating content. Content is king. I'm sure many of you would have heard many times, content is king, content is king, content is king. Like Rotarian John said to us, there's so much that we're doing in Rotary across Nigeria and Ogun State, over 126 clubs. That is so much content we have that we could create. And there's so many people on the internet that are willing to engage with this content. Now, talking about social media, we have different kinds of social media platforms. And please, next slide. So we have different kinds of social media platforms. We have platforms like TikTok, which is an emerging platform for youths. We have platforms like Twitter, which has recently been banned. And we have hopes. We have someone here from Abuja that has told us that very soon we would return to using Twitter because conversations are ongoing. But it's a very powerful platform. We have Telegram, which is largely a messaging platform. We have Facebook, which is the giant of social media. You have WhatsApp, you have Instagram, you have Snapchat. I mean, the list goes on. But for this presentation, I'll only be talking towards about 3 to 5 of those platforms. Next slide, please. Now, but before we do that, I'd like to share some numbers with you to understand the importance and the potential and opportunities that exist on social media and the internet as a whole. Please, the next slide. Now, what you see on here is sources of how brands are discovered. The internet is an essential part of what everyone does today. And post-COVID, the internet has become even a more critical part of what people do today. So this insight basically shows us that search engine is one of the #1 activities people do on the internet. And that's how people also discover brands. So when you have your content, it means you're potentially discoverable and people can find you through search. Ads on television, word of mouth. The first speaker spoke about Baba Ijebu. That's an example of how word of mouth can actually go really far. What I would like to highlight on this slide is ads on social media. Emphasis on ads, because you have social media and then you have the ads. Paul had mentioned that you have the paid media, you have the earned media, and I said the paid media is any digital media that you put budget behind. Now, what's happened over the past five years is the people that own these social media platforms have become to make it a bit difficult for your content to reach your followers. You know, so they expect that today you put money behind it. So budget has become a critical part of it. So I've emphasized that. Next slide. Now, on Friday or Saturday, while I was going through my Instagram feed, I saw this post on my timeline. And this is a post about this particular event that is happening today. And one of the things that I saw when I saw this was that it was sponsored, right? I, for example, have about 4,000 people that I follow. So that means that my own timeline is very busy. And there's so much content that is being generated today. So everyone is competing for the same eyeballs. So it's very important that you have budget behind it, because if this wasn't promoted, I may never have seen it, but it would have been posted. So what would happen at the end of the day is that you realize that you're seeing this post, if it's not promoted maybe for 3 days after. So putting budgets behind your social media is critical. Next slide. So talking about the numbers, this is a snapshot of the internet for Nigeria as of January 2021. It shows here that we have about 100 million people on the internet in Nigeria. And that means about 50% of the population in Nigeria are active on the internet. And when you compare that to the statistics from last year, it's about a 22% increase. And I believe strongly that COVID contributed to that, because we had a lot of new entrants as COVID happened and post-COVID. And then about 93% of all these activities that is going on the internet is happening on your mobile phone. So your mobile phone is a critical part of doing things online. It's very powerful. It's much more than just making phone calls and communicating. You know, people have become millionaires by just creating content and engaging on social media using their phones. Now, this slide basically speaks to the top queries in 2020, what people are looking for. The first speaker spoke extensively about personas, you know, and he was talking about when you're trying to communicate, you have to know that there's nothing like the general public. You have different kinds of people, right? Now, one of the things about the digital and the internet today is you have data, you have insights, right? And if you have insights, then it means you can personalize the experience, right? So what this shows you is how people have searched over the internet over the last 1 year. So you see things like download, news, Nigeria, bet Naija, sports, betting. That is interest, right? And that speaks to, if at all you even need to do some sort of blog post or things like that, it gives you an idea of where you want to be. Now, one of the things that interested me about this slide is I saw there was BBC and there was BBC Hausa. The question we need to ask ourselves, are we on this platform? When people go watch BBC documentaries, do you find Rotary stories on them? Or people are on them, people are consuming the media on this platform. Next slide, please. Now, when it comes to social media as a whole, about 33 million people are on social media in Nigeria, and that is about 15% of the internet population. And when you compare the numbers from last year, based on the number of people that have joined, that's about 22% and 22% increase. And about 99% of these social media activities are happening directly on the mobile phone. That is those that are creating the content and those that are consuming the content. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so go back to the previous slide, please. And one of the key things I want you to see on this slide is that averagely, people spend about 3 hours, 41 minutes on social media. They are consuming content. How many of those content are Rotary's content, right? Next slide. Now, bringing it back to social media platforms, like I said, there's so many of them, but this slide then outlines the most popular ones in Nigeria. Number one there is WhatsApp. WhatsApp is extremely powerful, very useful. We have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Next slide, please. Now, like I said, I'm going to be focusing on about 5 or 6 of this platform and talking to the characteristics of these platforms very quickly. Facebook, next slide, please. So for Facebook, there are about 29 million people on Facebook. Facebook owns Instagram and WhatsApp. So Facebook has about 29 million people. There are about 29 million people on Facebook only. About 22% of those people are advertisable. What that basically means is you could advertise to 22% of the audience there. Why, you may ask? That's because all these platforms have what you call policies, they have data policies, age restrictions, and things like that. But the addressable market for that is about 22%. There was a 3.6% increase. 41% of that audience is female, and 58% for Facebook is male. Next slide. Instagram has about 8.4 million. They had a 1.2% growth. The statistics for male versus female is pretty much the same. Next slide. Twitter, about 3 million users. It increased by 17% over the last 1 year. 35% of the people on there female, 64% male. This baffles me because I used to think we had more females in the world than males, but I'm still struggling with these statistics. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. So when people are looking for things today, the first thing they do is they either go on Google or they go on YouTube. So YouTube is really, really important. So as you're creating your content, you also want to be sure that you're creating video content. And video content is one of the best types of content that people engage with more, because you have different kinds of content. You have content as text, you have content as images, you have content as GIF, and you have them as videos. But people tend to engage more with videos. And one of the best places to have your videos is on YouTube, considering it's the second largest search engine in the world. So there are about 10 million people on YouTube in Nigeria. 25% of that market is you can advertise to them. 44% female, 55% male. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so the benefit for social media is enormous. Now, one of the things we could do with doing it right is that it could help us build the needed awareness that we're looking for. It could also help us increase growth for membership, at different clubs and Rotary International as a whole. And the other thing it could help us do is to put a human element to our brand online, such that people feel like they're interacting with a personalized experience. And please go to the next slide. How can you get started, right? The number one thing that you need to know when you're trying to get started with social media is that you have to avoid doing too much, right? And that's because, remember the initial slides, I said there were so many social media platforms, right? And when you want to get started, you don't want to go about starting here and starting there and starting there, because it takes a lot of commitment, it takes time. So you want to focus and direct your energy on one platform and expand it as you go. The next slide, please. The next thing you want to do is you want to clarify what your social media goals are and what your objectives are. I'm not sure which of the speaker was talking about having a plan, like having like a PR plan. I think it was the first speaker. This is also like having a social media plan. What is your strategic direction? Do you want to use social media to create awareness for the many projects that you're doing? Do you want to use social media as a strategy to recruit new members into your club? Do you want to use social media as an avenue to raise funds for your project? So you have to clearly define what the goals are for what you'll be doing on social media. The third thing that is also very important is that you have to dedicate time and resource. Now, the challenge many times that I've seen is that people trying to start, they create the platforms, they create the profiles on the platforms, but they're not able to stay consistent, right? And that's because it's a lot of work. Now, there are two things you can do. One is either you find someone that you can dedicate and it becomes that person's responsibility to do that, because consistency is key. One of the speakers spoke about consistency. Consistency is very key, right? So you don't do this first week and over the next few weeks, you're not doing it anymore, right? So if you're going to do it by yourself, you want to either dedicate a time, it may be once a week or once a particular hour every day that you're using to do that, right? But it's important that you either dedicate time or you dedicate a resource. The other important element is you want to have a budget. Remember I said earlier that paid media is important, and ads on social media is one of those key things through which people are able to discover brands. So you want to have a budget for social media. Our chairman, I think this afternoon, shared a breakdown of what had happened based on the adverts that we're doing. And it doesn't cost so much. The interesting thing about digital is that you get the value of what you spend. So if you spend 1,000 naira, you get the value of 1,000 naira. If you spend 100 million naira, you get the value of 100 million. Whatever it is you spend, you get the corresponding value. But it's important that you have a budget. The other part that is also important is You need to create a content calendar. That also forms part of the strategic direction. What exactly are you doing? So that also speaks like to what the other speaker was talking about, having a PR plan. You need to have a calendar, right? You need to know exactly what will happen today, tomorrow, and the next day. Now, one of the things that could help you with this is across the internet today, there are some days that are popular and in trend. Today it's Monday. If Twitter was active for us in Nigeria today, one of the trending hashtags you would have seen would be Inspire Monday or Inspirational Quotes, right? So you want to be able to jump on those kind of hashtags to create your own content calendar. So for my club, for example, I'm going to create inspirational quote Monday and tie it somehow to Rotary, right? So you want to create a content calendar. On Mondays, we'll do this. On Tuesday, we'll celebrate one member in our club. Now, what's interesting about, I spoke about humanizing the brand. Sometimes people join and associate because they are seeing their friends on a platform. So you'll be surprised that, oh, this guy is even a Rotarian. I can talk to him and things like that. So you create your own content calendar, right? And then you can decide to even pick a day in the week to talk about a Rotary's area of focus, because Rotary has about 6 areas of focus. Because remember, you want to be able to attract membership into your club. So you can also identify important dates. You have days like World AIDS Day, International Women's Day. So all of those things gives you opportunity to also create content, and have a strategic direction for doing that. Another important element to getting started are social media apps. And one of the apps I'm going to share with you is Stories. Many of the social media platforms today have what you call stories, right? Or you may say WhatsApp status. So Instagram has stories, WhatsApp has stories, and Facebook has stories. These things are very, very powerful, and I've seen it have huge impact. Over the last 12 months, I was working, please hold on, just hold on, go my pace, yeah? Over the past 12 months, I was working as the chairman for projects in my club. Now, one of the things that I'd done during that period was to consistently, as I was doing the project, I was always sharing, WhatsApp status and putting it on my Instagram stories. So go to the next slide. So I had people that were following me. I have like 1,000 people on my WhatsApp. They're always following the status. And I used to do it Wednesday night through Thursday night. But I don't do it on Wednesday night. People will prompt me, we haven't seen the status. Now, one of the things that did for us was I had friends that would tell me, oh, I'm interested. How do I join Rotary? I want to contribute and things like that. Continue. So I was always doing this up until a few weeks ago when we're going to do the commissioning. My mom reached out to me and said she needed to see me. I said, what do you want to see me for? She said she has to see me. And that was on the 23rd of June when we're going to commission the project. Next slide. Then she needed to see me. And then I went and I saw her and she gave me this letter. I'm going to read it out. It says, Rotary Club of Omole Golden, this is my token contribution to your project, 10,000 naira. Only. My name is Mrs. Olayinka Florence. How did she know about it? I never told her about my project. She was always seeing my stories, and then she donated to the project, And on that day, I posted it on the platform, I shared it, people were excited. That's how much impact you are making. So how many people are you depriving of being a part of Rotary by not sharing your stories? So stories are very, very important and extremely powerful. Next slide. Thank you. Social media apps, carousels. Carousels is another feature on Instagram that allows you to be able to post more than one picture at a time. So it's important that you familiarize yourself with the tools on the platform. Remember I said that there's so many content that is being created, and people are competing for the same view. So when you have an opportunity to be there, you want to do it at once. So say for example, you have 10 pictures you want to post. Not many people know, they'll post that picture 10 times. But there's a feature called carousels that can allow you to post 10 pictures in one post. Because one of the things that happens on social media is if you're not consistent and your followers find you frustrating, they cannot follow you, right? So when you're posting, you have to make the best use of what you're doing part time. So use the carousels. There are many creative ways with which we can use the carousels. Because of time, I'm not able to share them with you. But this is what carousel look like. So you see them and we'll have the dots, and then you can just use your finger to scroll through like that. So that's another hack. Hack 3. So Act 3 is going live, right? going live is also a very important feature on Instagram, right? People can engage directly. Imagine what would happen if the DG and the Rotary International president decides to have a 30-minute session online. We'll publicize it, we'll talk about it. Oh, the Rotary International president and the district governor for Nigeria will be having a session where they'll be talking about making an impact or making change. And they will do that online. That will create and attract more people, to come because they will get the notifications and they can engage directly online. The applications of going live is just so much, it's enormous. So it's a feature, you need to look for creative ways to do that. Sometimes you could even go live and share when you're singing in your fellowship, go live when you're doing things on your project. But most importantly, have a two-way go live session where people can then interact with you. So going live is another very helpful hack on social media. Next slide. Another very helpful element that is a hack is leveraging hashtags, right? Leveraging hashtags. And one of the platforms that used to help very well with this was Twitter, right? I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, hashtags are when you go on Twitter or social media platforms, you see conversations that are trending and things like that, right? Those trending conversations are opportunity for you to also get your brand, on those platforms. Some hashtag may be getting like 1 million impressions, meaning that everyone is talking about it. And when you go on a particular hashtag, you are seeing what everyone is saying about it. So let's say, for example, fashion is the #1 trending hashtag in Nigeria, and you want to apply that to your brand as Rotary. If you want to then jump on that hashtag and say, as fashion, let's say you have done a microcredit program where you give machines to beneficiaries in your community, right? Through that microcredit scheme. You put that same hashtag, you put a picture or a video of you giving that machine out, and that way you're able to relate that Rotary project with the hashtag and also leveraging on that media cloud of that particular hashtag. So the applications are enormous, right? So hashtags are very powerful. They could help you get discovered very quickly without, so it's an app where you don't have a budget. Next slide. The next important thing is you need to complete your profile, right? So many times you have profiles, but your profiles are not complete. About a few days ago, someone called me, or even long time, some years ago, someone called me and said, that he got my number. At the time, my number was on my club's social media platform. That he got my number, he was coming into Nigeria to fellowship, and he was hoping he could fellowship with our club. I said, yes. This guy has been a very good friend of the club, and interestingly, he has helped us through his own club to a global grant project that is in thousands of dollars. Now imagine if the opportunity to put the phone number was not there and I didn't have my number there. That would have been a lost opportunity. So complete your profile, put your picture, put your profile, put your email, put your phone number, right? Because we have to give everyone the opportunity to be able to reach us directly and ask the questions. Next slide, please. And most importantly, Rotary, I just spoke about the Rotary Center. We have, on the Rotary Center, you have something called a brand portal, a brand center, where you can find assets. For example, this particular presentation template, I downloaded it from the Rotary Brand Center. So it has a lot of assets, picture templates and things like that, that speaks to people of action. It could really help with getting started. So you could find assets on there. My time is up, so I'm trying to speed up. Next slide. So in summary, what should be your key takeout for today? One is choose the key platforms. There's so many platforms. That's a lot of noise. You want to be able to focus. Clarify what your social media goals and objectives are. Dedicate time. If you're not able to dedicate time, find a resource, and most importantly, have a budget for your media. Create a content calendar. Use the social media apps I shared. I spoke about the live, the carousels, and the hashtags. Complete your profiles, and most importantly, use the Rotary Brand Center. Next slide. Yeah. Thank you.
If you do not tell your story, if you do not share your story, who will share or will tell your story for you? Ladies and gentlemen, please, yet another round of applause to Rotarian. Okay, it's time for questions and answers. The minute you identify yourself, please, your name, your club. Questions, right? Okay.
Sheikh Mr. DG Atresia. Distinguished Lieutenants of the Ajabu, my special regards to very special guest for today, very special messages for the lecture so far delivered, and very particularly, let me say this opportunity to appreciate my colleagues, distinguished Lieutenants, public image administrators from our respective clubs. I salute everybody. My name is Rotary Bosele James Ayola from Rotary Club of Iyana Yesiota. Classification, mindset, human development, and free estate. Permit me, sirs, to quickly go straight to the few things I intend to pass across. Not questions, really. Just few observations. I think the whole essence of our being there basically is not just creating content. I want to believe content has always been created. And then content consumption has always been something that is very usual. But I want to believe the whole essence of today's seminar actually borders on the public consuming the right content that actually represents exactly what Rotary Club stands for. And I want to share this with all humility and modesty that from my own club experience, the major challenge we have always had borders on the mindset people normally have regarding Rotary Club in general. Such that almost every meeting, we always have to battle that very issue, trying to put into the mindset of people the right perception. You agree with me that perception will always be in diversity. So the diversity of perception can never be questioned. But the truth of the matter is, if people can actually get us right, just like we are getting it right away, I want to believe the more we can always strive there as a united front and then achieve better result. However, before I take my seat, I want to quickly recognize there was a particular point our guest speaker from Abuja actually said, and that borders on Rotary Club or Rotarians, sometimes not passing comment on certain national issues. Sir, may I quickly say this, sir, that from my personal viewpoint, as far as my experience as the Rotarian as can carry me, I want to believe Rotarians had always maintained focus. If I am to be focused, it must mean my mindset is set on achieving results. And the motto of Rotary Club is service above self. So if we had actually spent so much time, that's your question. That's no question. Like I said, it's not the question. So, the service, and to ensure that we are not disrupted, we are always maintain focus based on what we actually do. Then finally, I want to please appeal very strongly to our public image administrators. I had the second speaker earlier said we are all ambassadors, and I agree totally with that. Please, I think the need for us to actually engage ourselves in teamwork is very, very vital. I was in a school sometimes ago, and Milo has to come around. They wanted the people, the parents, the elderly ones, the junior ones to know about Milo plan that was being introduced to the market, and they had to come to a particular school to, pass across the message through those small boards. And then, what am I saying? I said, if we can partner with people like our what do they call it? I think the youth chairman, the youth service chairman in our various clubs. I think as a team, we can achieve better results. Because in the real sense of it, we are public image administrators, but every Rotarian is actually a public image administrator. And that means the more we, collaborate with one another in the task of putting across the right perspective as far as Rotary Club is concerned, the better result we are able to have.
Well, the Rotaract public image chair is also a member of our committee, so they are actually included. But please, going forward, questions, please, or contributions, a minute and a half. Let's make it brief and precise, please. Do you have any other person? Okay.
I stand on all existing protocols. My name is Abayo Benson from Lagos Central. Well, I think I thought I could just I have lots of PR groups. My background is advertising. But one could think about that is that there's a convergence between advertising to PR. Great point. Evidence that people with. For storytelling, we all have stories to tell. But again, it's very important because in advertising too, we try to understand that when you tell the story, you must tell it consistently, and you must know exactly who and what you want to say. So for me, it's important just to add to what the last speaker said, that our stories must decide or must have an objective. It is either we want to recruit, it is either we want to have a fair deal, it is either we want interest or desire. That will be very key. And finally, one contribution that I want to have or make is that it will be important for the modern brand or for the districts to actually come together and align whatever communication on all the clubs of the same so that there is consistency and we are saying the same. Thank you very much.
So, any other question or contribution? Okay, in the absence of this, I'd like to invite the district secretary, Sir Ibrahim, for the presentation of appreciation certificates to our guest speakers. I think we still have a few of them here. A round of applause to Ibrahim, our district secretary.
Thank you, our hardworking MC, Ontario Sheikh Adebayo. So on behalf of the Chainmaker District Governor, Remy Bello, FCA, I will be making these presentations to our very distinguished guest speakers. Our very distinguished guest speakers. You will agree with me that the District Public Image Committee, they have done a great job. It's not easy to bring these very distinguished speakers from Israel, Jair Bayme, President of TRK, to Louis Odion, all the way from Abuja. Louis, by the way, is, as you would have checked, the Senior Technical Assistant of Media to the President. He works from the Office of the Vice President. It is my pleasure, therefore, to invite Louis Odion for this formal presentation. Certificate of appreciation proudly presented to you. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Louis. We are glad to really have you here with us today. And then the next one, certificate of appreciation to one of our own, another distinguished Rotarian, social media marketing guru, a digital consultant in the iCloud. If you want to find it, just go to the cloud. Tell me what Rotarian and give them there. And certainly, the last by no means the least, a very respected leader from our district, a past assistant governor, assistant public image coordinator, Zone 22, Region 28. By the way, 27, sorry. We have 4 districts in Nigeria, but in the whole of Africa, they have about 16 districts. 16, thereabout, I think. I hope I'm correct. I think it's about 16. Now, it shows how large Nigeria is with our population. We are having 4 districts. The rest of Africa, they have 12, right? But Africa, we now also have our own zone. Africa is now a zone of its own, Zone 22. But it has 3 regions. We don't have Francophone speaking, we have English speaking. So he's in charge of Region 27, African Public Image Coordinator for Zone 27, Region 27 and Zone 22. Please put on together about John Senaya. He's a coach in case you want some mentoring.
Thank you, sir. We'll be having a general public session as soon as we're done. Prince Adeyemi Ashekbery, President Ikeja Alausa will be giving a vote of thanks, after which there'll be the national anthem, and of course, we'll have a public session outside. Please, a round of applause to Prince Adeyemi Ashekbery.
Well, my district secretary, PhD, Mr. John, sorry. PhD, yes, I'm saying the PhD. My fellow Rotarians, the chairman of our organizing committee for the public image, we spent some quality time this afternoon learning about how you can promote the image of your club in various ways, including ways that you have not to spend any money, which is the social media. If you have 20 club members, each member is assumed to have about at least 20 members to 40 on social media, that your information can be shared. I will like to say a very big thank you to our speaker, to the district governor for giving us the opportunity to call all of you from Ogun State, Lagos. Today being Monday, we know it's a very important day to every one of us, but you left your businesses, your work to come here. We'd like to appreciate you on behalf of the district governor and the image committee. This is just the beginning. After this, we're having a WhatsApp forum where we can interact, where we can also get to know each person, those that can work with us at the level, those that will require us to also assist them. My chairman is a very young man. He's my chairman, my junior brother, for my senior Rotary. He has over 30 years in journalism, and we've known for that length of time. Mr. Adebowale is also part of that. Let me remind you, some of you may not know, in those at TBN, that nice block, you remember? At that very tall building, when we used to have that night event, he has over close to 30 years experience also in journalism. Likewise, myself, our secretary, I've known him for God knows how long. In the glamour days, Mr. Ojoba has been our speaker. He's young, but he has immense experience. We have people of quality experience in the committee that you can call upon. We have contacts in all sphere of media, be it the broadcast, the print, radio, TV, which are broadcast, including the social media. We have guys who run personal blogs that can assist you. So let me just not take your time again. A very big thank you to all of you for coming. I will look forward to seeing you again. Have a lovely day. Thank you very much.
Before we start for the national anthem, please, for those of us who dropped our numbers, in case the number you dropped is not.
We have now. How many now?
66 within 9 online. So in case if the number you wrote is not WhatsApp compliant, please change it. You can come and change the number. Can we please start with the national anthem? At the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Rise, O I hear us follow to serve our Father's land with love and strength and grace. The name of our heroes shall never be in vain. To serve without a mind, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
I see our PhD, some of you are highly recognized.
Thank you.
And the one with the election.
The Vice Chairman, Lagos Nigeria.
So let's go outside for the photo session, please. Thank you.